Okay, so while I was at work, I got a little bored and started doing a little thinking. It's very hard for us to get good video game movies. However, I feel like the best thing to do for these is not to put video games into movie form, but more so a TV form. I feel like it's a lot better. Video games normally take so many hours to beat. There's so much story within it. And at times it can be really hard to bunch all that up within like 2 or less hours. Especially when everybody who hasn't played those games has no idea on what's going on. So it's not like you can jump straight into stuff without a full length explanation. It can be really hard. However, doing something within a TV series sounds more reasonable. Now, as I was in this thought, I was thinking about Need for Speed, since that's a franchise that I love a lot, and they did have a movie, although I don't think it did too well to a lot of people, but I thought it was okay. I was thinking, what if instead of doing a Need for Speed movie, we get a Need for Speed TV series? And maybe it'll be something that's put on Netflix, since Netflix seems to be doing pretty well and a lot of people seem to be cutting the cord. Netflix seems like the best way to go. And this is where I got brainstorming. So, right now, I see this, and there's like no information on this even being a thing. This is all just coming from my mind. But I see this going into three different ways. You have, a completely new story, probably a street racing story, like the classic Need for Speeds are. Or you can go the kind of most wanted carbon route, since it seems like, since that was actually like a story that went on. In fact, there was like three stories within it. You had, starting out from like beginning to end, in Need for Speed Carbon, we see through flashbacks that there was like a big incident that went on that led to like the main character to flee after everyone gets like arrested after the big race and stuff. Maybe we can have like the first season or two, you know, go more in depth on what happened there, and then season two, like the big race happens and you have to leave, and that's when you enter into Most Wanted, when you're dealing with the blacklist members. And then for like a season or two that goes on, and after that, after you take down the blacklist members and you have to flee the cops again, you go back into Need for Speed Carbon, to where you're now having to take over the territory and also figure out what the hell happened that night you had to flee, that night of the big race and the incident that everyone got arrested and everyone kind of now hates you for. I think that would be pretty awesome to have. At the same time, though, I think it can be really hard to do all that. I don't know, it might be a little overwhelming in my honest opinion. And there's like a lot of story to go on, so maybe if it kind of gets like canceled, it's gonna be very unfinished. Like a lot of people are gonna be like, what, like, why can't we get this to continue? So I thought of something that could be done a lot shorter. And that's when I came to Need for Speed Pro Street. And now a lot of people might not like this idea because Pro Street didn't do as well as the other Need for Speeds, in my opinion. It was very ignored. But I see it as like a great series that can be done. Now, when I thought about this, I thought of, and just to show you how much thought I put into this, I actually put notes. But pretty much, I was thinking this could, like, Need for Speed Pro Street can go on for about, like, maybe 4 seasons. Because if I do remember the game right, there were 3 showdowns, and then you had the main showdown where you face Rio. and that main one could be like in the fourth season. Every season, though, the end will be the next showdown event, the next big showdown event. And I think that'll be pretty interesting. You know, it could probably, each episode can go on for like 45 minutes to an hour. I feel like that's perfect time. And maybe have like 10, 15 episodes each season. I think that's good enough to get your point across all the way leading up to the big showdown event. At least in my mind, that would be great. I'm no expert in filmmaking and all that stuff, so maybe you guys might have a different opinion, but this is all coming from my mind. Now, here's what I have. And actually, I'm going to start off with like the characters. And I say characters because there's going to be more people outside of like the protagonist, Ryan Cooper, and the antagonist, Ryo Watanabe. For now, I kind of just put like Ryan Cooper's friend. I didn't give anybody a name because I can't see this actually being a thing, but it'll be pretty lit. But for now, I just have like Ryan Cooper's friend, and then I put a mentor. And this mentor, I want it to be like a female driver, just so we can have, you know, more diversity, and so people don't feel like, oh, why is it just men? And also because who doesn't like an awesome female car person? Like, they're awesome. So, and also like the female mentor, because I'm doing these by tiers, by at least the showdown. So like the first season is tier 1 showdown, season 2 tier 2, and all that stuff, just like how the original Need for Speed would go. So the female mentor is kind of like a tier 3 amongst the rankings. So I want her to be like the mentor for Ryan Cooper and his friend. Now, here's how I want the story to go. And this is all season 1 story. Pretty much the first 2 episodes is going to be like the introduction of Ryan Cooper. Ryan Cooper, and I did a little bit of research just to get my memory back onto what Pro Street was. Ryan Cooper was formerly a street racer. And one of the reasons why I want Pro Street to be more of a Netflix series than the others is because this is a great way to promote taking your races to the track and not the streets, because street racing is illegal. As much as we all like to deny it, street racing is illegal, and it's better off to be taken to the track. So that's where I would like this to go. But like the first 2 episodes will be street races, just so we know where Ryan Cooper came from. Not to mention his friend. Both Ryan Cooper and his friend were street racers. Ryan Cooper, however, was like the top dog. He was the best street racer in his area. Now, when it came to location, because I live in South Florida, I kind of just put it to be taking place in Miami, but it could be taking place anywhere really. But I was thinking like either Miami or LA, because those are like very well-known areas. So for now, let's just stick to Miami. So Ryan Cooper is the top dog in not just Miami, but kind of like all of South Florida, maybe all of Florida if you want to take it to like that extreme. But he's just well known within the state. And first episode, we see that, and around episode 2, and I'm doing this list on if it was just like a minimum of 10 episodes a season. In episode 2, we see Ryo Watanabe being introduced. But when he's introduced, he comes to the streets, you know, just to like see what the scene is like, because it's been a long time since he's kind of been a part of the street racing community. He's not street racing everybody, but he just wants to see what's up. And as he's seeing this, he kind of realizes like, you know, street racers aren't that good. He kind of badmouths them all, and Ryan Cooper decides that, you know, he should be representing the street racers. So he kind of challenges Ryo, and in the end, well, unfortunately, Ryo destroys, and I mean just destroys Ryan Cooper, just straight up clean racing too. Like, it's not like he spun him out or threw him into a wall or something. No, he just clean destroys Ryan Cooper. Ryan Cooper might do a little bit of dirty stuff because this is the streets and that's what they do. But Rio is clean and he just destroys him. And he kind of badmouths him, telling him how street racers are a bunch of cocky punks who think that they're all that, but they have no skill, and that like the real racers take it onto the track. And so that's where it's like the little promotion of, well, if you want to get into like racing stuff, don't street race, you know, take yourself to the track. So later on, maybe in like episode 3, we start getting introduced to now the track events. I forgot what it was called in Pro Street, but I'm gonna just say the track events just so we know what's happening. But within this, Ryan and his friend, they decide to enter, and unfortunately, Rio was right. Ryan Cooper and his friend are struggling to keep up with all these track racers, and they wind up on like the bottom of the leaderboard. They don't know why. They don't know, you know, what happened to them, why they're so bad at this. But they keep on trying and stuff, and over time, they get kind of recognized by the female mentor, the tier 3. And the reason for this is because she respects the fact that street racers are trying to, you know, make this turn and take it to the track and be responsible. And, you know, she offers them help. She says, you know, I'll help you learn how it's done on the track so you guys, you know, can finally make a name for yourselves. They agree to this, and throughout the episodes, as she's teaching them, and this can go on for like maybe one episode, but as she's teaching them, Ryan Cooper is pretty hard-headed. He doesn't understand all these tactics that track racers do, and he's very hard-headed. He's stubborn about it, and it's holding him back a lot, while his friend, on the other hand, is very open to it. And throughout the upcoming episodes, you notice that he's actually improving and that he's starting to go up in the rankings, while Ryan is still struggling. He's getting a little better, but he's struggling every time. Like, he's just not as good anymore as his friend. And I want this to be a thing that goes on even past season 1, because it now builds conflict where Ryan Cooper, the one's top dog on the streets, is now not even as good as his friend. You know, somebody who's on the top is now kind of like on the bottom. It really does something to you. And, you know, I want this to build like a kind of jealousy and a conflict later on in the seasons, to the point where it might even temporarily break the two up. I think that'll be really fun. Now, later on though, still in season 1, before like all the big conflicts and stuff happen later on in the season, back to season 1, somewhere after Ryan's friend, you know, Ryan and his friend, you know, start learning and stuff, we see Ryan's friend start to like win a couple races. Like I said, he's starting to get a lot better at this, while Ryan struggles. And eventually Ryan's friend qualifies for the big showdown, for the big tier 1 showdown that happens, let's say, every month. And so he qualifies, and again, that just builds jealousy in Ryan, and he's really trying now to figure out, you know, what he needs to do. And eventually, at the last second, he gets it, and he does well enough to where he just barely qualified for the tier 1 showdown event. And now, nearing the end, what happens is, and the end is kind of like not the last episode, but kind of like the last 2 or 3 episodes, we get like the big prep, both building the cars and also building up the skills more. And so that starts happening. And probably in like the second to last episode, we get the event starting, and we have Ryo Watanabe being the special guest, enters in, kind of like how Pro Street in the game was. And when this happens, Ryan gets irritated. He doesn't like the fact that he's there. He doesn't say anything to him. They have no like actual communication conflict, but it's just Ryan himself is just not liking the fact that he's there. He starts getting triggered. But again, there's no physical conflict between them, at least at this moment. And then also when Ryo is then shows up and he's announced as a special guest, it's also said that he is also the Showdown King, and that's when Ryan also, his jaw kind of drops. He's speechless. He's like, holy crap, this guy is actually like the best here. And so that kind of ticks him off even more, because again, he used to be the top street racer and now he got beat by the top track racer, so he wants to get back at him. And so during the first, episode of the Showdown event, again, Ryan's struggling. He's doing better than what he started off as, but he's still struggling. He's not winning that many. He wins maybe one or two out of a big tournament of events. And during these Showdown events, what I want to do is the tier 1 Showdown, just like it was in the game. It's just going to be your grip event and your drag race. We're not going to introduce drift until season 2, and probably the other main events till season 3 and stuff like that. Each season is probably going to introduce a new big event, because from what I remember, it was your grip, your drag, your speed, your drift, and I believe there was one more, but I can't remember. Maybe it was Showdown. Probably that's why I can't remember. But anyways, continuing on, it's just grip and drag, and Ryan is again struggling. His friend, however, is succeeding a lot more, and what happens at the end of the Showdown event is only 100 can qualify to enter in the event, but only the top 10 are able to advance on to tier 2. And this is just going on in Miami, just this Showdown event, but in reality, there are different Showdown events going on in every single state. So every state, all the 50 states, has their Showdown event going on, and top 10 of each state qualifies, or they advance onto tier 2. So at the end of the day, you'll have 500 new tier 2 combatants. So that's how that works. What I want to happen in the Showdown event is for it to take, at least if it's taking place in Miami, because I know I've heard this track a lot down here. It's called Palm Beach International Raceway. We could probably have an event taking place, the event actually take place there, because it not only has a grip event, but it actually has a drag strip, so that would be nice to have. And my thought was that when they're shooting these events, they actually open up to the public. The directors and stuff actually open the event to the public, just so, they have a lot of good shots of people's actual cars. Maybe you can have them do their own races just to get their shots and stuff, but actually have this being an actual open meet, I would think it would be great publicity. And any sponsors interested in wanting to sponsor the event or show off themselves, they can also enter. There'll be a lot of booths. That'll be pretty fun, just to get the car scene actually involved more. So I think that'll be pretty fun. But again, back into the season finale, what I want to happen is Ryan Cooper and his friend, they qualify in the top 10, but of course his friend, he makes it into top 3, he's in 3rd place, but Ryan just barely makes it. He's in 8th place. So again, Ryan just isn't as good as his friend, and starts a little bit more of a beef. But then to end off the entire thing, just like how it was in Pro Street, Ryu is asked, what do you think about these guys? What do you want to say to like the new tier 2 combatants? And again, like the game, Ryu kind of badmouths them, saying like they're kind of like trash, or at least they're just not as skilled as, what he thinks the, racers used to be. So he kind of badmouths him again, and as he leaves, showing off with like a burnout and a donut, Ryu and Ryan lock eyes. You can see the kind of rivalry hatred starting to build up, and as Ryu leaves, Ryan's friend kind of like puts his hand on Ryan's shoulder and just tells him like, don't worry, one day we'll get our chance at him. And that's pretty much how it all ends. So that's kind of like my mindset of what would happen if Need for Speed pretty much became a Netflix series or just a TV series, period. I think it would be pretty fun. I think it would be something we can all get interested in, especially since, and a reason why I kind of also decided to make this video was because a lot of people always talk about how the Fast and Furious franchise really went away from its car roots, even though I did make a commentary on that. I think it's like my video before this upload, so if you want to check that out, do so. And so I thought if we got a series that actually paid attention to the car scenes, I believe Need for Speed would be like a very good choice, because a lot of people in the car scene could probably tell you that Fast and Furious and the Need for Speed game series is what really got them introduced into the car scene. So I think that would be really awesome. Again, Need for Speed did have their movie, and I didn't see it as something that was more like car scene relatable. A lot of it is really just exotics, people running around in Lamborghinis and Koenigseggs and stuff like that. I think this with actual like low end cars, like we gotta have Ryan Cooper's 240. That would be pretty awesome. And of course, Rio's Evo 10, stuff like that. That would be pretty freaking lit. So let me know what you guys feel in the comments down below. Do you guys think it would be interesting to have like a Need for Speed Pro Street Netflix series, or like a Need for Speed in general Netflix series? What do you guys want it to be like? What's your vision for it? I think it'll be a pretty good discussion to have. I don't think anybody's really talked about this, so hooray for me being possibly the first. If something like this ever does get made, I came up with the idea first. EA, hire me. I will help try to make the story great. Probably. I don't expect it to be like kind of like Marvel good, but I just want it to be something that we can all enjoy, if that hopefully makes sense. So now I'm just rambling on. Been going on for almost 25 minutes. Again, let me know what you guys think about this in the comments down below, and peace out.